Change the name of the thing. All right, what's going on, guys? It's possible that there's no enormous news that I have to deal with. And so I could just go about my business and update the projections and run some lineups and just enjoy myself a little bit during this hour instead of the normal just dealing with news that comes in just annoying me for the next hour. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But right now, it's just I don't see any big news that's going to come in. I saw something about the San Antonio game being postponed, but I imagine they're playing. There's Bobby.
How's it going?
All right. Is it possible there's no like huge news right now?
I'm pretty sure those guys from the Spurs will sit.
Who you
the midday downgrade, Keldon Johnson and Doug McDermott they're probably going to sit, but it doesn't really affect anything except.
Oh, I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay, so who's downgraded?
McDermott and Keldon Johnson.
Do they even play?
Keldon Johnson is their best player.
Okay. Were they in play? I mean,
well, it affects. I mean, it makes Sohan a better play,
right? And
for most teams, it would be a big bump. It actually probably is enough of a bump to Trey Jones and Devin Vassell. But I don't know that I particularly want to get heavily invested in either of those guys.
Did that come through just now or
no? That was right after we talked earlier.
Oh, nice. So I'm gonna update the projections now, and I should have pretty much everything then. Okay.
Yeah. Well, everything, and then there's probably going to be some late news, but nothing we can do about that. Pretty much the same as always.
Yeah. And what about so I saw Eric Gordon was ruled out, right?
Eric Gordon's out, which is why Kenny Martin Jr. and then Tari Eason and Martin is still questionable too, which would make Tari Eason a good play. Even though I know you don't particularly like him.
Oh, he's all right. I mean, it's all right.
Yeah, I think it's a different thing, and it makes all the other guys everybody on that Houston team is so in play. It's just the game script is messed up. You just got to bank on Houston staying close, but you could literally play like three of those guys and on a normal, if it was.
Well, who are your favorites from there?
I just think that they're all too cheap for the ceilings. So I'm not playing any of them, but Jabari at 5K is kind of silly. He should be good for 6 or 7X, like a huge portion of the time there. Şengün is too cheap, but considering he averages more than 5X, even though his minutes are sort of lower. He's also put up 53 and 41 the last two games. Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green are in play, but I'm just not getting to them because I don't want to play that game, and there's just so many good plays in the slate. So I just am throwing him out there as just one of those things. MJ's coming in with an interesting thing. You really want to fade Okongwu for Jokic. I don't think Okongwu is going to be crazy high on sheets. Am I wrong on that?
I think everybody's way ahead of me for some reason. So I feel as though I missed something. So when he's coming in and saying I really want to fade Congress, is he supposed to be like some kind of lock or something like that?
No, I don't see. I don't have any of that. I just as much like John Collins, if not more, than I do a Collins.
Again. I'm going to redo these projections or whatever just to see what I kind of like my build as of 3 hours ago, and I'll go over that.
That's how I feel. I like my early builds, and I for those of you guys who are members of the site, I haven't changed any of my builds yet. They're all exactly the same as when I left them, and the only thing that's going to change them majorly is news, and then just getting some different pivots, like where I have some Cole Anthony, I'll switch over to some more Markelle Fultz, and do some 2v2 swaps that way, things like that, but nothing crazy. And I have 25% Okongwu for what it's worth, but I don't think, Saberson has him at 10%. I think he probably ends up around 15 or so at most, because you've got Zubac, who's cheap. You've got Bryant, who's going to be popular. Some people will use Poku as a center, things like that. Some people use Draymond as a center on DraftKings. I sort of forced my way into just playing one of Randall or Brunson in most of my lineups, mostly Brunson. Yeah, I don't know, MJ. What are you looking at? This is that maybe it's Fantasy Cruncher or something that has him at 22%. It's possible, but I don't think that's like it's not like a big major. I don't see him as being that popular. I don't think he'll be 22%. Maybe he might be, but like, is everybody going to play John Collins and him? Because I think John Collins is going to be more popular than he is. And if he seems weird to play Collins and Okongwu together, but certainly the kind of matchup you could do it. I like that game style.
I didn't realize that Collins is even going to be popular. Okay. Hell do I know?
Yeah. I think Collins will probably be 20 some odd percent.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah, but I think it's a reasonable play. You know, it's he's the kind of guy who could put it like there's a path where he puts up a number where you really like need it. One guy we didn't talk about who I got to a little bit today is Bogdanovic.
Which one?
I just wanted to throw that out there. The only one who's playing tonight.
Bogdan. Okay.
Yeah. It's so hard because every time I say which one, I the Bojan and Bogdan. It's like, couldn't they make it a little bit easier on us not to have them like the exact same name? I like the guys from the late games. And I just, for what it's worth, guys, I worked at RG for 4 years or whatever, and the projections for basketball are very, very fluid. They're absolutely. I trust Sheets' projections, which is more of an aggregate than I do Roto Grinder. So I would take a look at Sheets' projections over theirs.
And they'll be ready one of these days. Everything's going a little slow, but I'll be done by 6:30 probably.
Yeah. And then of course everything changes after the thing. But I like the late games. I mean,
Yeah,
so that's the way this slate, more than any slate that I've played in a while, I am just going with stacks, you know. And I think the three main ones for me are Indy, Atlanta, Lakers, and Orlando, and I like the Golden State, Charlotte. So that's the bulk of my builds are combining those stacks. But I do have some, you know, on FanDuel, I have some Fox and Jokic type of things. I think it's viable to go with New York and Dallas. I think it's viable to go with all the other. There's a lot of other games you could potentially stack the Spurs if those guys are out with OKC. But I just like those stacks so much. I just don't want to spread myself thin. I'd rather get different variations of those 3 game stacks, use that as my core, and then play those guys with Sohan and Poku, which I guess is a little mini stack already in that game. But you know, your boy Nemhard or Neesmith or whoever from for value in the Atlanta game to go with Halliburton, and one of Murray or Trey, one of Murray, Trey, or Bogdanovic, or 2 of them. Then you play them with Collins and Okongwu. Just everything builds itself really nicely if you try and stick with the stacks tonight. And I think that's what I'm going to do, because these games are high and tight, and if you get that real back and forth down the stretch, or even potentially in overtime, to me that's what I see as winning this slate, much like it did on Christmas. Dwayne Washington is not a guy like you. If you're playing Dwayne Washington, you're counting on the game blowing up. You may get 0 minutes. I couldn't find a reason or a way to play Dwayne Washington. The thing is, they do only have 11 guys. He probably does get on the court at some point tonight. But to be honest, I would say that I feel like that's a pretty terrible play. It's really like if you're really starved for value, I would try to find a way to get to like Ty Jerome over guys like that. Ty Jerome, we know at least is going to play minutes, and he's played over 20 in the last 3 games. He's put up, you know, 30 in the last 2 games. Why would we be playing Dwayne Washington over a guy like that? So I would just be trying to get to those type of plays rather than.
Someone's asking Len if he starts. Len is playing. Len plays basketball.
I looked at a lot of things today. Nothing led me to Alex Len.
What team is he on?
Hold on 1 second. Let me just grab this. Wait a minute. Hold on. He probably will. When did the Sabonis news come through? I had no Sabonis news. Len's first game back should be tonight. That's a risky minimum cost guy, but that whole game is now a little bit weird. How did that not come through on my thing? The Sabonis. DeAndre Hunter was also ruled out tonight. not sure that's going to make any major difference, except for it makes Collins a better play, and it makes Bogdanovich a better play, and it makes Okongwu a better play. But all those guys were guys I liked anyway. But with the Lem thing, I think you're like, what? Let me try and see what the projections have.
What are you guys talking about?
Well, Lem will start possibly if there's no Sabonis.
Sabonis is out?
That's what I apparently I'm looking at their lineup, and Sabonis is out. I never got that alert, and neither have the projections that I'm looking at been updated for that information. What worries me about the Len thing is the minutes, because he's been out forever. But I'm just going to take a quick look. Why don't they have Sabonis as out? This must have just happened, right? Or it must be like
Sabonis could not practice and shoot around this morning.
Oh, so it's not official, but because I look at NBA.com and Roto Grinders are both projecting him to be out.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't see them playing him a ton of minutes, but Len could get there in short minutes. I mean, we know that. It could be Rashawn Holmes. Like, that's a weird one that we have.
Oh my God, he still plays?
He played 6 minutes in the last game.
Okay.
But
dude, I'm totally dumbfounded. Hingle, I am so dumbfounded. I'm just way behind. That's what I was trying to say. I have no idea.
Well, the Sabonis thing is I think it just is. It's good speculation that the fact that he missed shoot around was already questionable. But that now I noticed that NBA.com has them out as well. They're projecting him to be out, but it's not a guarantee that he's out. So I would say playing the late games is a good idea, but make sure you have some pivots ready. And obviously that makes De'Aaron Fox. I mean, Fox was already a good play, so like speculate even further. He's already then make him a better play. Everybody else gets a bump also. I would say Malik Monk actually oddly probably gets one of the biggest bumps. I don't care what the projections say. It's just you're talking about usage going around. I mean, you have Sabonis and Fox are the guys who do everything.
Who do they play? Who do they play? Denver?
They play Denver.
What's Jokic going to score 1,000?
He's going to score 1,000. yeah, I think that's right. I think it's probably about right.
He's going to score like 400x, I think.
I know, and he's expensive too. That is. He's technically questionable still, so it's not a guarantee that he's out. But I would say that more often than not in these situations, guys tend to be out. But when they're at home and it's a big game, it's kind of, I think it could go either way. I don't know enough about it for sure. So, but still, priorities are, still not all that different for me. And it's funny because SaberSim is projecting him as in, so I'm having trouble getting the accurate projections on these other guys.
Well, fortunately, it's not for 100 hours. But
yeah, so you just make sure you have your pivots in the later games. But Okongwu's projection just popped up because of the DeAndre Hunter news, for what it's worth. I don't know that I think his minutes are more secure. I do think he and Collins are both really good plays for what it's worth anyway. So
I think Bogdanovich becomes a better play.
And Bogdanovich becomes a better play. That's right, because the minutes he'll get.
King's head coach is out.
I don't think that's going to make any difference.
What's going on here? What?
Do I like Miles Turner on FanDuel is a good question from K9. I do like Miles Turner, but I don't like I like him fine. I'm not playing him in either of my two big FanDuel lineups. I'm playing Thomas Bryant and Jokic, and I probably will switch over to Okongwu instead of Bryant because I have tons of Bryant on DraftKings already. But I still like Bryant a little better than I like Okongwu. It's pretty close between those two for me. All right, what else do we have here? Let's see.
So
what are they going to do? It's Atlanta. It would be really nice if they didn't start Bogdanovich. But they probably will. It makes that game so much better for fantasy if he's off the bench for both the starters and then for him.
Yeah.
But that game is now even more stackable, I would say.
So it's probably worth redoing stuff with Hunter out, right?
Yeah, I'd say a little bit. What I would say is the people who are popping that I'm seeing is Okongwu, Bogdanovich, and Collins, which are three guys that we like anyway, and none of them to the point where you need.
What do they get, an extra point?
Congo was down to was like at 28 to start the day. He's at 33 projected about Saberson. Bogdanovich was at 30. He's at 33. Collins was at 28. He's at 29. So it's not a huge difference.
Mike, talk to me a little bit more about the Laker game.
Yeah, I really like Russ. I don't really care about. I'm just going to take these chances every time I get them, and I don't really care if other people do it or don't. He's going to be low owned, and I think he's got a good chance of getting 50 tonight. I think they will play him more minutes. It hasn't worked when they've cut his minutes short, so they're gonna. My guess is they're gonna flip it around. We still don't know for sure about Schroeder. If Schroeder is out, I would absolutely just. Unfortunately, then everybody else will like Westbrook. I really like Westbrook. I really like Westbrook and Bryant. I like LeBron, but I think the other spend ups are a little bit more enticing. But I am going to play. So I have one LeBron lineup out of my 4 big lineups between both sites. So, and then I don't have him in any other ones, basically.
Well, fortunately, I don't have Sabonis in my projections, so at least I'm doing something right. But I don't have who's taking his place. That's the problem.
What's that?
I don't have Sabonis in my projections, which is good.
Yeah. But
I don't have anybody else that take his place, and that's bad. So we'll have to do that. So who would start for him? I mean, so Len, that's what you're saying?
I honestly your guess is as good as mine. It should be Len's first game back. Len may not even play. Len may still. He's not officially in yet. You know what I mean? He hasn't played a game this season, right? At least since he played a game. He played a couple of minutes early in the season, and then hasn't played since December 7th. He played 1 minute December 7th. Hasn't played more than 5 minutes in a game. So even if he starts, yes, he's worth a punt. But I think you should be very careful. I think Trey Lyles has a chance to play minutes. At least he's familiar with Jokic. He's played against him in practice. You know what I mean? So my guess is Trey Lyles would be the one who benefits the most. But it could be if they start Rashawn Holmes or they start or they start Len. Those guys both become really good, really interesting GPP plays. I don't think that there's any guarantee though that any of those guys play more than 20 minutes. They could divide it between the 3 of them, and basically play like 16 minutes each. That's completely
yeah. Just keep throwing guys at Jokic. You know what I mean? Waste your fouls, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, Metu isn't available, who would be the normal guy. So but they also have that Keita guy, who also has been playing minutes. He actually played more minutes than the other guys. He might start, and he might be a better player. But the problem is you just have to worry about all the rest of them. So it's an interesting slate. I mean, it's really more of how good do you feel about the front games? I feel really good about the Lakers and the Indiana one, but there'll be, your value with Sohan later is not till 8. Your value with not your value, but the whole game stack of the Warriors Hornets is very enticing. And then now the Kings and Nuggets are jumping up there for game stacks for me because De'Aaron Fox is in play. If Sabonis is out. And even if he's not, he's still a good play. And of course, Jokic, Porter, and Murray are all in play. Now I would just give them a bump as a run back to maybe a Fox with one of Barnes and Herter, Keegan Murray. And then, you know what I would do actually? I would play Fox, but I would try and then stack the Warriors Hornets game and then switch over if we do get that one of these minimum cost guys starting. Well, one of them is going to have to if there's no Sabonis. But keep in mind that Sabonis is not officially out yet.
Yeah.
Schroeder is that's how he's always pronounced it. Actually, it depends on who you talk to with Schroeder. It also depends on how much German people you have in your life. But Schroeder is the general term. Other people will say Schroeder. It's just is what it is. I like Draymond. I do like Draymond, MJ, to answer that question. I think this is a really good Draymond type of game if, of course, he plays. There's a lot of key tags in those late games, so keep in mind.
Yeah. Just give me 2 seconds. I'm going to go over my hockey because I promised people that if they showed up, I would tell them what I was doing. So with the hockey tonight, the main two stacks are going to be pretty spread out. But Calgary's the top one, and then there's some equal stuff between Vancouver, Carolina, and the Rangers. We're still looking for confirmation of goalies for a couple of guys, but that's basically the deal with the hockey. So back with the basketball, I just redid the projections, but like I said, they don't have the what's his name, the Hunter thing factored in, and they certainly obviously don't know what's going on with Sacra Tomato.
Yeah.
But
I'm going to have to jump over to my builds in a second and take a look and see what I'm going to do. I'm not going to leave yet. I'm just going to take a look and see where would I change some things, because I still kind of like my early builds.
Well, this
but
one
I think I'm going to shift a little bit more to those later games.
Well, if we put, there's got to be something that opens up from Sacramento, I think.
Well, I think Fox is your safest thing. His projection hasn't updated on SaberSim, but my guess is throughout the industry it should be closer to 45 or 50.
Let's take a look at what this news says of this Sabonis thing anyway. So what do we have? We have didn't participate in the morning shoot around. His lack of participation suggests he's trending towards sitting out. Well, why don't we just sit him out then? You know what I mean? Like Jesus.
Yeah. It'd be nice to have the actual news, you know?
Yeah, so I think I agree with you conceptually about the stacking here. I mean, I want to play, like Fox and Jamal Murray, like for example, something like that. I want to play Poole with, I don't know, Poole with LaMelo and FanDuel. How about that? And then, like you said, Brunson. Play Brunson with Luka if you want.
Yeah, I thought about Luka.
Who do we think is going to start in the Phoenix game? You like anything?
I think he'll start. No, I'm not all that interested. Like Lee is the guy I would rate that as pretty bad chalk. If he's chalky, if he's not chalky, I think it's worth taking a shot. You basically are asking him to shoot high volumes and make a lot of threes. He put up 29 in the last game. He was 4 for 5 from 3. Okay. He put up the last time he got a score we would accept. He was 5 for 10 from 3 in 37 minutes in the Lakers, and still only 5 for 10 from 3, and he only had 27 fantasy points.
What about a Kogi?
He's the one I actually did use a little bit, but I'm probably going to switch that up too. I kind of like that play better because it fits the game script narrative that I believe for that game, which I think Phoenix is going to have a hard time playing with Memphis. And I actually think at least a Kobe can do other things. Lee is so shooting reliant.
Yeah,
it's a little tricky. A Kobe is semi-shooting reliant, but when he can get he can rebound, he gets steals and blocks, and Lee doesn't. He gets some assists. Lee doesn't get many. Lee is basically a catch and shoot guy, and doesn't really do anything else. He did happen to have a fluky 8 rebounds in the last game, but still, like 4 or 5 from 3, playing 30 minutes, 8 rebounds, and you only put up 29 fantasy points. That's just not exciting to me. And that's your like ceiling kind of thing. I'm not sure you can make 8 threes or something, but that's just anybody can do that, really.
Let me see what I'm getting. Yeah, I am gonna change I'll manually change the Atlanta ones. Yeah, you get an extra 2 points out of all these guys, I think. I don't think it's that big a deal. But the Sacramento thing, I wonder, are they projecting anybody for Sacramento? They're projecting anybody new?
Yeah, it's tricky because
no, not at all.
It's still not sure. It's still unsure,
Yeah.
I don't blame them. Hey, if I was Sabonis, I wouldn't really want to play against Jokic the way he's going either. I would sit down. Not a bad day to take a break.
I don't know if Jokic wants to play against Sabonis, though, either.
I don't think that Jokic cares about anybody. Yeah. I really don't. My level of respect for Jokic and the disrespect he gets in the NBA, it's actually like it's kind of crazy that people don't talk about him like legitimately. That if you don't think if anybody doesn't think he's a top 3 player, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what else a guy can do.
Are you getting Derek White?
A little bit, but that's going to probably go by a little bit more by the wayside for me now that just those later games are a little more enticing, and I think that I like the other stack with the Nembhard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Derek White, all the guards could, the White, Brogdon, and Smart is already a crowded backcourt as it is. And then if the game blows out like we think it might, then it gets to be Pritchard minutes. So White doesn't even get the last run. It's just kind of tricky. And that's the tricky thing about playing Derek White in general is that there's a lot of game scripts that he's not on the court for the end of the game, whether it's close or not. Because Brogdon gets the close minutes run and Pritchard will get the blowout run.
Right.
So a little tricky there. Boy, these Lakers are going to be unknown. I'm kind of getting excited a little bit about this Lakers situation. And for what it's worth, these situations come up all the time. Like Paolo has made it very clear. Everybody, he's always talked about how LeBron's his favorite player ever. It's kind of weird because we're in that era where he grew up watching LeBron, but like he was born when LeBron was basically playing in the league.
Right.
But he grew up watching LeBron. So those things don't tend to go great for the guys who are coming up. Back in the day when Kobe played Jordan, Kobe always had good games. Had good games in the few meetings they had there. But I don't know. Paolo's like I don't think there's anything too much to read into it. What I would say is that the Cole Anthony thing, even though I've got him in one of my one of my big builds, I think that is really, really shady, like really suspicious.
What do you think? What do you think of
Did you see what he did in the last game, Cole Anthony Sheets?
Yeah,
he was the most efficient player in the history of basketball.
What do you think of Zubac coming on a back-to-back off overtime game, for 41 minutes?
I think Zubac is extremely fishy anyway.
Yeah.
But I also am going to play him because the ceiling is a little too high for me to ignore at that price. But Zubac is projected to play, I think, 28 minutes. I think there's to me, there's just as good a chance he plays 18 minutes.
Yeah, I agree with that. And Robert Williams, is he probably out?
Robert Williams should be out tonight, yeah.
Okay.
Which makes Horford a good play, but the problem is do we want to play Horford against Houston in a game where they probably don't need him?
Right.
And Grant Williams might end up sneaking in there for those minutes. They can play small-ish because Williams can guard Şengün, he can guard bigs. They'll play some Sam Hauser and Luke Cornett and stuff like that.
Who do you like more, just straight up? Derek White or Nembhard?
I like Derek White a little bit better than I like Nembhard, but because I like the Atlanta game, I will probably end up with more Nembhard.
Okay. Fair enough.
It's a good question, though. That's a really big toss-up. I was kind of hoping you weren't going to ask me that because I feel like I'm gonna, no matter what I say, you feel like you're going to have the wrong answer.
You don't want to have very little of. I don't have much of any Trae Young though.
Wait, Williams. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said Williams shouldn't play. Williams is playing today. I don't know why I said that. That was a total mistake on my part. How many minutes is another thing. You'd think at some point they'd want to get him his 20 minutes. He did play it against Atlanta, and it's kind of a great matchup.
Well, who do you like more? Straight up, Robert Williams or Pokusevski?
Poku, but Robert Williams will be the one who's unowned.
Poku, but I like that. That makes sense.
Pritchard is officially out. Okay, I had Pritchard as questionable, so I guess he's out officially, which does make Derek White, I think, a better play than he was before.
Okay.
And he's fine anyway, so thanks for that. Thanks for dropping that in, guys. I'm not caught up on some of these things as I'm trying to go through the plays I'm making. I'll just real quickly, because I'm going to probably go in a couple minutes. I have to finish my builds. I have Westbrook at 57% on DraftKings.
Let's go.
I'm going for it. I'm going to
let's go.
And I will be playing Westbrook with Fultz on the other side, mostly with a little bit of. I will play 25% LeBron, and I don't mind playing him and Westbrook together. I have 60% Sohan. I have 40% Bryant. I have 30% Brunson, 30% Randall, 25% of Kongwu, 50% Poku, which is going to dwindle. I'm going to lower that one. And then I was using Ty Jerome for value. I might now shift that value over towards the later game. And then was using Tari Eason for some value. I might shift that value over to just taking shots on. I'll probably leave one of those guys in some lineups, but it won't be 25%. John Collins and a Kongwu I will have split up, but probably
on FanDuel, you got to leave something available, like for later, right? For Sacramento.
I think you play like I'm playing Fox. I don't think you need the value though. On like the value is not as good on FanDuel. It's not as important on FanDuel to have those value plays, you know. But I think what you could do is you could play Kuminga and Fox and Jokic in a lineup, for example, and then you can always shift around. You know, you can always switch off Kuminga to whoever starts, to whoever the surprise starter is, or you could do a 2v2 if you want, or 3v. Probably need one more body in there at the end, actually. So,
well, I'm talking through this. So instead of Damian Lee, I think I want to play Malik Monk just for fun.
I like that. People are going to laugh. Hey, go ahead, Joe. Laugh at my Westbrook all you want. That's fun.
What power forwards on FanDuel?
What's weird is Westbrook, even in these short minutes, is still like 5xing. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if he plays 30 minutes. The last time, Westbrook, by the way, just want to point this out to defend this Westbrook take a little bit. Westbrook, when AD was playing, was putting up 50s, and AD and LeBron. And now without AD, just because of a two-game sample size, we're going to not play him because he only 5x'd. It doesn't work for me that way. I'm going to play the long-term upside, you know, all the time at low ownership. He's put up, you know, he had back-to-back games of 56 and 53 against Denver and Boston in close games. I like the West. I'm gonna be way overweight. I want to try and get different, and that's
what's up. What's Westbrook on FanDuel?
If Westbrook has failed you, Joe, in fantasy, you're probably doing something wrong because I want to be overweight on him today. But this has not been the year where I've been saying, "Hey, look, you have to play Westbrook every day." But I think that you just gotta. And the guy's like he's one of the great fantasy point per minute producers of all time. What were you gonna say, Sheets?
I was asking what Westbrook's price was on FanDuel.
He's more expensive at 8,100, so he's a better play on DraftKings.
Yeah. Is there any? Boy, it's so easy to play just Poole and LaMelo together on freaking FanDuel.
Poole, LaMelo, and Fox.
Yeah, huh?
Yep.
But I want to play Shea.
Yeah, well, hey, that works. It's just hard, you know. So then play Monk. If you're not playing Fox, play Monk.
I think I'm going to play both.
Okay, that works too.
Who do you like at power forward on FanDuel besides Sohan?
I did actually add Miles Turner. I always prefer playing him on FanDuel. I like you know, in the interest of playing late games, I'm playing PJ Washington in my stacks over there. Michael Porter Jr. is another one from the late games that you can throw into the mix. Sohan, obviously you mentioned him.
Yeah.
Those are the main ones for me.
I can almost make this work. I don't want to play Buddy Hield though on FanDuel.
I do have a super creative one though. I like Draymond too, even though he seems overpriced.
I keep coming back to freaking Avdia at 5,200 over there.
I would rather than Avdia play an incredibly low-owned long shot Robert Williams.
At what position though?
5K. He's power forward.
Right. So I got to move. So I'll move Sohan then, small forward, and then can I do that? Is he small forward?
Sohan is yeah, he's got small forward eligibility over there. Oh wait, does he?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, I could play Robert Williams in the power forward.
And it's a long shot play, but it's one that could really pay off. Wow. I do think Joe, it was pretty funny what Joe said, more than you failed your parents.
And there's Thomas Bryant. Oh, like that. Thomas Bryant.
I might have to run just to edit my lineups because I'm a little bit worried that I don't have my any pivots off of my original builds, and I'd like to get a little more action in the late games, but I think I gave away pretty much most of what I'm doing. Oh, one other name that I didn't mention that I do like today is OG Anunoby.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not quite getting the Torontos.
Yeah, just that he's 6,200 on DraftKings, and he's playing 40 minutes a game. Obviously, the results come and go depending on how he shoots a little bit, but he's on the court for 1 million minutes, and he's coming into his own.
Yeah. So, oh boy, this really has a shot to do some damage. This FanDuel lineup. I mean, it's probably going to do damage to me, but it's definitely got a shot. I got Thomas Bryant at center instead of Okongwu.
I've got Bryant as well.
Okay.
But that's fitting with my little weird stack.
What's that?
I have Bryant with like Fultz on the other side at 6,300, which seems very thin, but I'm going for it.
I think that's totally reasonable.
Yeah.
You know, this DiVincenzo at 6K? Ooh.
Yeah, I like the DiVincenzo over there. That's the other price difference that I noticed. KJ Martin, 4,200.
Oh, he's in. Right?
If you want to take a flyer, 4,200. I have a Damian Lee lineup over there, and I'm gonna have to take that out. There's no way I can live with myself playing Damian Lee on FanDuel on a big slate.
Well, it depends how many lineups you have, I guess.
Yeah, only two big ones. So I gotta do something different.
Yeah,
I can't get away with it. I don't think. I think you got to try and find a way to get up to the aforementioned Leak Monk.
We have any? You have any pieces left? Let me see if I can get any in there. I'll pick up. Sometimes when you're staking, you sort of sell out. They leave like $3 left or something like that.
Yeah,
because like nobody wants to round whatever. So
I think everything's sold today.
Let me just see.
Yeah, it's sold.
Fuck. I mean, darn it.
I'll shoot you over something if I win.
No, that's no fun. No fun.
All right. Well, I'm going to go just to finish editing my lineups, but I'll be in Discord all night, guys, answering any questions that pop up. It's hard to do right before lock, but in between the games is a good time, when we get different starting lineups and then seeing what happens with the late games.
Yeah, so we definitely have to keep an eye on Sacramento, to say the least. How am I going to remember? What I think it's not till 10, right?
Okay. With that?
That game's not till late. I'll figure. Yeah. I'll remember. I will definitely remember.
Wait, the Damian Lee thing is at 8.
Damian Lee, I don't care, but
I thought you said Lee. I'm sorry.
No, I meant Sabonis.
Oh yeah, that's the 10.
Yeah, that's not till 10. We'll be well dead by then. Okay, so.
All right. Well, good luck, buddy, and good luck to everybody out there. I will be in Discord answering anything.
Listen, once again, for those of you that are watching this on YouTube, by the way, make sure that you subscribe or notification, whatever you need to do to make sure that you get notified if we go live. Because again, I have these thoughts of always wanting to kind of go live like later at night. Listen, it's a combination of I'm awake and everybody's asleep. You know what I mean in the house. And then I'll go on there, and I don't even need to be really sweating any of my stuff to do it. I'd like to kind of see who's winning and just kind of look at lineups and stuff like that. So just be on the lookout for it. If I go on, people want to come in and kibitz, that's cool.
Hey, if you want to do it tonight, let me know. Shoot me a text, and I'll pop on with you.
All right, sounds good.
All right, take it easy. Good luck, everybody.